For February the 2nd, 2018, we talk about Dragon Ball FighterZ, Apple's changes to their loot crate rules, and we ask you how you get over difficulty walls. Welcome to Level 228. My name is Cole Ross.
My name's David Maysmith.
I'm Jala Prendez.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Welcome back. We missed last week because of some scheduling and personnel problems. But we are happy to be here. We've got so much to talk about. So much going on. So I've got some stats. So
what kind of stats you got?
So I've not done any. I've not gone in and figured out what the rarest combination is. That is going to have to come later. But this is very much akin to that. So I'm doing more. I'm trying to do some like journaling for my own reasons. No, I'm not being weird about it. You're being weird about it. And part of this is just kind of like going back and like trying to put together just kind of like a history of the past several years. Blah blah blah. So I've actually gone and recognized that because I do these shows and because each episode has a post and each post says what games I've played, back to May of 2011, I have almost a perfect record of everything that I have played.
That's pretty impressive.
I know, right? That's just where the first DTR that I have public is still available. Go ahead, Ben.
I was going to say, which podcast have you talked about the most games on?
I actually haven't put that together yet, but I can do that on the fly as I'm talking here.
I feel like that would almost have to be like the level / DTR, just because most of the others are like focused on a specific game, at least for a given episode.
Right. So WoF, it would be close to like 185 or something like that, because that's about where we're at, and those numbers stay pretty close. But I'm more focused on the games that I've beaten, because that's just a more concrete thing, and so I can actually look and see which games I've beaten, which ones I've talked about on which shows, et cetera, et cetera. Do you want to know what series I have talked about the most on this show?
Dark Souls?
No, Dark Souls. Dark Souls has mentions specifically by me of like, hey, this is a game that I played 7 times across, so 7 episodes from DTR up till today.
And so I guess this is like where you've substantially talked about it, like you've been actively playing it?
Yes, as part of the and this is just me, and this is just as part of the grind. Not like, sure, this is like so-and-so, or going on about it when somebody else has played it, like David or Dennis. The most is Resident Evil across any number of games, 11 total mentions.
Jeez, is that like the Resident Evil series?
Yes, yeah. Resident Evil series.
Okay.
Yeah.
And which game in this series? Do you know?
Resident Evil 6.
Yeah!
As it should be.
Right. Runner-up is...
Resi 6.
Go ahead, what's that?
Sorry, I'm just cheering for Resi 6 because it's like my most played game on Steam with like 200 hours. So.
Yeah.
You also played Resident Evil this year, right? The new one?
Yes. Yeah. So that's also in there. Danganronpa is the second one with 10 total grind sections.
Okay.
And then beyond that, it's Ace Attorney. So those are the top 3. The year where I've played the most, or I've beaten the most games, is 2015. That's 41 games. Across the show, basically all the shows, right? And the year with the least is 2013. Somehow I managed to only do 32.
So how many games have you played for fun?
I don't know for fun. Can you define what you mean?
I meant games you played when they weren't something you're playing explicitly for a podcast.
Okay, so I can only do this on the beaten. So like removing anything for WoF and removing anything for Bonfireside Chat. We've got 33, and I'm so sorry that I'm doing all this math. 33, 170, so 203.
Nice.
With a total of these being 257.
So 257 games since 2011.
Yes,
that's good.
Yeah,
and those are ones you've beaten, right?
Yes,
that's actually really interesting because, like, I feel like any game you beaten is going to be a game that, like, I don't know, probably to a significant degree was at least like somewhat important at some point in your life.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to know, like, there's at least that many story. You kind of know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I've got this like put into a spreadsheet right now. I want to copy it down onto paper and do like ratings and stuff. But I've got it in a spreadsheet right now, starting from Amnesia: The Dark Descent in April 23rd of 2011, all the way up to what I have here, which is Corpse Party on January the 21st. Like, I know which games I've beaten in which order and roughly when I beat them.
What's your favorite game?
Is it just me, or are there all of a sudden like 13 different games that are basically like Corpse Party that are apparently very good and I can't figure them out?
Which ones are you talking about?
Something about a letter, something about a literature club, and something about a corpse party.
Doki Doki Literature Club's the literature club one.
Yeah, the letter is the PC visual novel, and then there hasn't been a new Corpse Party for a couple of years.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's just like it very well could be like Duckfeed Echo Chamber. Maybe.
I mean, Jala and I have been throwing it back and forth.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah. So I'm sorry if that was like a boring kind of digression there at the start. I just,
No, I'd say more voyeuristic than anything else. Like, now I kind of want to analyze this thing and be like, well, like my original thing is like, I'd be really interested to know. Like, I was surprised. I would have thought was it like Virtue/Reward? Those games would be more prolific than Danganronpa.
No.
Which, yeah, clearly not.
So, are you taking stats then when you stream as well?
Yeah, I took those, but just interleave them, I guess. So, like,
gotcha.
I've got Corpse Party on there because I played it and beat it on a stream.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. This isn't for public consumption, aside from what I've just surfaced here. This is more for my own kind of edification. And like, I saying this now, I realize this sounds like the symptoms of depression or just some kind of really kind of dedicated, high fidelity LARP. But I got curious, and so I went back and I ran through that data over the course of like a week. So
yeah,
better
than no data. It's interesting data,
yeah. So how's everybody doing? Jala.
Okay, well, the mouth is coming home. Nobody knows about the mouth except for the people who follow me on social media.
Your new cockatiel.
Yes, my new cockatiel. So my parents surprised me at the end of the year with a gift card and told me that they wanted me to get a baby cockatiel so that I could raise it myself and teach it from like a little one, because my other one was a rescue bird that just kind of showed up one day, like kind of literally. I got home and there was a bird. So, anyway, the mouth house is already set up, and I get to go this weekend to get the mouth, which is very exciting. This bird is called the mouth right now because when I first met him, he was just like scraggly and had very few feathers. And, my mom was with me and she's like, he's all mouth because all you see is just giant beak. And so he's finally grown into his face. And so now he looks like a cute gray and white cockatiel. He has white cheeks. He does not have the cheery yellow cheeks with a red dot. So, but anyway, so that's a thing. And then also this last weekend, I went on a 6-hour rucking event, which was my first time, literally my very first time, to put a rucksack on my back with a weight in it to do anything. And it was fun. And it was entertaining because I was one of 2 girls out of a class of 23, and the other girl tapped out like real fast on a lot of stuff. And the guys kept on going like, "Are you okay?" Like when I was hauling this giant tire. and stuff. They were like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine," and they just would not leave me alone. I'm like, "Dude, just because I'm a woman does not mean I can't do this," And they backed off. But I mean, of course, there were a lot of power lifters and stuff in this group, and like ex-military and things like that. And then here's like 5'3" me. They're just they did not expect much, but I was wearing bright orange and my rucksack is bright orange, and so one of the guys joked that he felt that he was marching behind a road cone, and at one point he stepped on my shoe, and I was like, okay, dude, how could you miss a road cone? I don't ever want to be in a car with you because I think I'm gonna die because you ran over my foot. So yeah.
Well, that's good. Like you've talked about wanting to do more of this too, right?
Oh yeah. Well, it's terrible and wonderful. I'm doing more of it. Yeah. So I mean, like the endurance events I have coming up for Spartan also require me to carry a rucksack with a weight in it. So it's kind of like I started with this as sort of training to prepare me for that. And as a matter of fact, like one of the guys that I was rucking with this weekend, we've already formed like this inseparable bond, and now like several of them are going to be training together for the next big event, and that training program ends a couple of weeks before my most concerning Spartan event this year. So it would be like the perfect lead up to it, I think. So
the most concerning.
Yeah, I'm afraid of that. If you're slightly afraid of it, I'm very afraid of it.
The least medically advisable of my events.
It's the Hurricane Heat 12-hour. Okay, the first one I'm doing in March is a 6-hour event. I've already done a 6-hour event, so I mean, like, I know I can do this one. I'm not worried about that. It's going to be hard. Don't get me wrong. It will be harder than the ones that I've done so far, but I know I can physically manage that and endure that. But the 12-hour one in May, that's the scary one. And like the last event is a 30-mile obstacle course race with 60+ obstacles in October. But like I've already done 28 miles of a run. I've done obstacles. I could have done 2 laps on the Beast, which was 14 miles last year. So I mean, I can do a 30-mile race with obstacles. I'm not worried about that. The main one that scares me is the one that's in May. So any training I can do for that is a good training.
Nice.
Yeah.
David, how about you? Any San Francisco tales?
Not too much. The Chinatown is slowly gearing up for New Year.
Oh, shit. That's right.
Yeah, so lanterns are slowly overtaking the streets and whatnot. Everything is becoming more and more red. So, yeah, that's kind of the most of it, actually.
Yeah. No, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Apparently, I didn't see it, but apparently at some point, maybe around here, they were filming some, like, what they call them? Like establishment shots or whatever for the Venom movie they're making.
Oh, like an establishing shot, yeah.
Yeah.
Like saying like, hey, this takes place in San Francisco before they cut to some back street in like British Columbia, Vancouver.
Right, exactly. Because I guess apparently that dude like comes from San Francisco or something. I don't know. That's an area of comics I know nothing about, but
and
that's kind
of
interesting.
Nice. And Ben, how about you?
I have a cool thing that I did over the weekend, but I'll be talking about it in the grind. But it involves streaming.
That always happens, Ben.
Yeah.
Just trying to one-up us, aren't you?
Sorry.
You're on top of it.
I'm enticing the listener to listen on.
Yeah.
Cool. So we've got the usual kind of show for you today, the brief, the multiplayer, and the grind. We got a lot to get through, so why don't we get started with The Brief, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us. We should probably talk a little bit about the announcement that we missed last week, the Nintendo Labo.
Labo!
Yeah.
Yes. So
I'm sick and tired of Nintendo naming things so stupidly.
Just naming things. Period. You don't have to go on.
I mean, like, it's so
numbers are good enough for everyone else.
Well,
I mean, if you need to get fancy, you can do the Microsoft thing and just not have them go in any sort of order.
That's
Microsoft's
also
random. PlayStation increments. Yeah. Nintendo needs to decrement, and that would make it very spooky.
and then on the fated day, they will align and meet in the middle. So this is an announcement they made. This is really out of date. People have already gone over this, but I want to weigh in on it. So screw you. No, this is like a combination. It's like a new interactive experience for the Nintendo Switch. And what it is, it's a bunch of cardboard.
It's a massive upgrade to the hardware.
I love my Switch so goddamn much, David. No, it is like these cardboard templates that are meant primarily, I think, for kids or kids and their parents to like make these big cardboard kind of housings.
I was gonna say, I don't know if it's meant for kids or not, but I'm gonna get it certainly.
Oh yeah, me too. Like I want to fold some cardboard up. Like I've got.
Go
ahead.
I feel like I think we should do a bet for approximately how many minutes it will be before you can laser cut them from Makerspace.
I mean, they've mentioned like they've said that they're going to release like templates if you want to make replacements or make your own. I think that you have to buy the software for them because it needs to, like it has to be attached to a game. But it's like these little mini games or these like in the case of the piano one, which is the one that I'm all jazzed about. Like a little. I didn't mean to. That wasn't intentional. I'm sorry. No, you make a little piano and you can play music on it.
Yeah, how any of this stuff works, it's like all black magic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's all cardboard. So you tap on a cardboard key and it makes a sound.
Yeah,
it makes like a piano sound.
Yeah. So I'm excited about this. I think that this is. I read an article that I don't know if I'd be able to find again, but like this is Nintendo getting around the plastic peripheral problem. Of like, okay, you don't have like after you're done playing with this, you can either break it down or like the kid lost interest or whatever. It's not going to sit in a landfill for thousands of years, right?
3P.
Well,
plastic peripheral problem.
3P.
It also solves the age-old problem of you get the kid a Christmas present and they want to play with the box.
That's a good one. I don't know. I'm curious about it. They've got like two kits. One that's like a big like robot kind of thing, which looks. I mean, that's not for full size people.
Again, black magic. I have no idea how this works. You put the controllers in the side of it, and then you have the screen, and you control it with that. I don't know how that works.
You can't explain that.
Yeah. But then there's like the variety kit that has like the piano and kind of the smaller
fishing
stuff.
Pole.
Yeah, I'm just I kind of like this. I like the idea of getting out some colored markers and doing it up in like network colors and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
I'm kind of hoping maybe this becomes a something that third parties get into or something. I could see there being, it being kind of fun.
I just like that they're continuing with like the blue water strategy of just like, let's just do something completely new and then we'll just win at that. Like, let's not try and, yeah.
Yep. And if it doesn't work, then whatever. Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of jazzed about this. Mm-hmm. Again, not intentional. I'm sorry. That's just a word I used to mean excited.
There's one of them's like a backpack too, where it has like cords attached to it,
and
it's
that's
like
the robot
a boxing. One. Yeah, that looks awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Watch the trailer. It's adorable.
It's pretty cool. Does anybody else have any thoughts about this, or is this primarily a Kole and Ben joint?
It comes out in April. We should probably mention. I think.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be like $70 for the whole kit. So like a game plus $10. Yeah. Cool. David, what's the speedrunning story you got?
Yeah, so this is, I don't know, not so much a news thing, so much as is just thanks to Polygon, me finding a really cool YouTube video. It's basically a guy documenting, apparently in people who do speedruns of the original Mario, there's one of the levels, level 4-2, is considered like one of the big like make or break points.
It's like they call them end runners. Or run enders, yeah.
Yeah, and so he basically goes through and both it's him explaining kind of how the speed run works, what the techniques are, which is really cool. But what makes it really neat is he actually goes through kind of the history of like, this is the first way people figured out how to get through this, and then someone figured out this way, but it was so precise you could only do it with a machine actually controlling things.
Yeah.
And I haven't made it all the way through, but like the one I'm up to is basically in order to do like the glitch, you have to press left and right at the same time. So you couldn't you can't do that in D-pad, so you couldn't actually take advantage of this glitch until it was released on something that I guess had controllers that could do that, or third-party controllers or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, and he actually has clips of like a lot of the original the first speed run where someone did this. So it's really cool seeing the old clips.
Yeah, that goes back to like 2004.
Right. I think my favorite so far, and I'm probably going to go back and look at the original, is apparently one of the guys that's like, the main speedrunner or something for this, like one of the big players in it. Someone took and overlaid every single one of his speedruns. And it was, in particular, I think it was him trying to get this one technique perfectly.
Okay.
That took him like hundreds of tries.
Oh, they Meat Boyed him.
Yeah, and it's really cool because it's all like a complete overlay. So you can tell basically at first it's like, vibrating Mario as, all of these, replicants are running along. And then, as it goes, more and more keep dropping off until eventually there's just the one actually in focus Mario that's one run that actually made it.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's I don't know, this is something that like I totally would never do. Like I don't exactly get this sort of speed running, but it's still really cool to learn about and kind of see.
Yeah, this is what's cool about like GDQ, right?
Yeah, that's something they actually mentioned at the very beginning of the Polygon article that I didn't know. Is they're saying that GDQ had kind of shifted its focus from being actual like speedruns to more being like really good speedrunners kind of walking through as they do a speedrun.
Yeah, either with themselves or with kind of couch commentators talking about like, hey, this is like, you may not be able to tell what's going on, but here are the inputs going into it. Here's exactly the way the game is broken so that this can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's good stuff. There was another thing in speedrun news, I guess, one like the oldest record in the Twin Galaxies scorebook, and this is related to speed, turned out to be an impossible score, like an impossibly low lap time in the Dragster game for the Atari 2600. They figured out, you can't actually do this. They kicked the guy out, invalidated all the rest of his scores, and banned him from the book for life.
Yeah, and the thing that's kind of really too bad about this, I mean, other than cheating, is that apparently he is someone that actually has a ton of probably legitimate records.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, like Twin Galaxies doesn't do an asterisk. Like, you fucked up, so there are other people who can do your thing again.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I didn't know this was even a thing. I didn't realize that there were like almost like esports leagues for speedruns.
Yeah, like there's.
Like, I mean, not exactly likely, but you know what I mean. Like, I didn't realize there were these, like, the Guinness Book of World Records, I guess, for speedruns.
Oh yeah. Twin Galaxies isn't just speedruns; it's like high scores. Like it's as old as the hills. Like arcade game. It's named after an arcade, I think, in like Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just they had their own board that ended up becoming the book and ended up kind of becoming the one of the official arbiters of like game high scores.
Nice.
Yeah. Love this stuff. Jala, what's Apple doing about loot boxes? Because I want them to solve this problem.
Well, they have changed how games are using loot boxes. Games now have to let players know the odds of getting specific items in the loot boxes. And in the new developer guidelines that they came out with at the end of December, say that any in-game mechanism that rewards players with randomized virtual items must list the odds of receiving each type of item, and that the customers have to be informed before they buy either of the boxes or the rewards. So essentially they just have to tell them,
Because that's worked so well at curbing gambling addiction.
Yeah, I know. Let them know their odds, and then that'll keep them from doing it.
So
and that's
you're saying
essentially,
there's a chance.
Yeah, and that's essentially the long and short of what Apple's doing. That's the only thing that they're doing about it is they're just saying, hey, you have to let people know about the odds of getting this item.
Yeah, and I mean the vulnerable population, like they're just gonna push the button. They don't care. Yeah. Either people who are compulsive gamblers who understand probability, or children who don't really understand probability, just because they either haven't been taught it, or like it's just risk-taking behavior is something that is like you do just until you don't, right?
Yeah,
I see this as a good thing because it kind of prevents something that's from being overly manipulative.
True.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it does at least help with, like, I know for me, like, I would potentially, if if it was, say, like a 20% chance or something, and was something I wanted, maybe I'd do the calculation, would that be expected value or whatever, and be willing to buy it. Whereas I didn't realize until kind of some of this blew up that some of these things, your chance of getting the stuff you want is like a fraction of a percent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, like, part of it too is that Apple doesn't want to impose too many rules all at once, because devs, like, if Apple is hard to program for, it is my understanding. So that being the case, developers, if they suddenly can't sell loot boxes and can't make that income after Apple takes their cut, like, and then Apple being difficult to program for and having to always, constantly change it up, like, they would just, defect, so that's probably a concern as well. I mean, I know Apple's a big share of the market, but,
Yeah, it's a little bit of a shame that they're taking a bit of a hard, or taking such a soft stance on it, because like Apple is the only company with, I think, the control over their platform to like mandate a stance and say, actually, no, this isn't good, and we're just like this kind of like exploitative design is not something we want to allow, right? I understand that's like not going to be real popular. People would want or argue for a more laissez-faire kind of thing, or approach to this. It would be seen as really overbearing. But like, if these things are bad, Apple would be in a place to make not bad things happen, or make bad things stop happening, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like the way loot boxes have become is just so over the line that I don't know. Like, I don't see any scenario where, like, it's just don't be evil would be like maybe a good good stance to take, you know?
That goes up against make as much money as possible for your shareholders. Not everybody's planning for the long term on that.
Yeah, I think the only other person that could enforce something like this is maybe Steam, but I don't think that has as much of an impact because I feel like a lot of these games are on mobile.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I was kind of hopeful, and I'm like, oh, click, oh. Well.
So it's a Surgeon General's warning.
Yeah.
How big is the lobby for these companies? It seems like what really needs to happen is, this needs to be, the Saturday morning cartoon stuff where you just, can't direct it at kids at the very least.
I don't know. So the ESA is the biggest one, but I don't know what their stance is on loot boxes or where they've fallen in other jurisdictions when there have been lawsuits likening this stuff to gambling, right? The IGDA, I don't know that they do so much of actual publishing lobbying. I think that's more of a labor group, or just a representative, a larger representative group for developers. Yeah, the ESA would be the one who would do that. I don't know. So that's a bummer. And then rounding everything out, Ben.
ESA says they're not gambling. Side note.
Oh, fun. I mean, my opinion would be they're wrong about it, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Ben, what's going on with BioWare?
Yeah, so there's a little bit of much ado about nothing going on with Anthem. It was delayed to 2019. It was reported last week by Kotaku that it was because the game wasn't ready, and then EA came out and said that was not the case, that they were just balancing their release schedules. They're releasing Battlefield in the end of 2018, and so this just got pushed to 2019 as a way to kind of balance when it was released.
Right.
When their games are released.
Boxes.
Yes, they now have to report what the probability of their loot boxes are, so that's going to take more time. But, yeah, so it's not really a huge news story. It just seems like a lot of people are riled up for no reason on either side, maybe.
Because it's BioWare, and it's another science fiction action role-playing game, and everybody wants to get riled up about Mass Effect, probably.
Do you think I mean, I've heard, some headlines, and I don't know enough to know how much of this is just clickbaity, but, saying that if this were to tank, that, that could be existential for BioWare.
I believe it.
That'd be sad.
Yeah. Oh, that sound effect is so good. I hope it comes through. Yeah, who knows? I know nothing about Anthem aside from the small little teaser I saw from a trade show. Was it E3 or something?
Yeah, they did the.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I confused Bethesda with BioWare. I have a significant degree to which I want the Fallout franchise to go back to being made by Obsidian.
Okay.
By which I mean other than that one game.
What do you mean other than that one game?
Didn't Obsidian only make one Fallout game?
Oh, they did. They did New Vegas.
Yeah. So by go back to, I mean go back to that one game that I liked.
Go play. Go ahead.
I was gonna say a lot of people from that studio made Fallout 1 and 2, right? With Black Isle Studios, or
there's crossover on that. They did Fallout 1 and 2. Play Wasteland 2. Yeah,
really?
Seriously, that is an Obsidian developed game that is in a similar setting. It's not like the weird 40s future that Fallout is, but it's kind of a similar idea.
Okay, I'll check that out.
Yeah. And I've got one. We realized that we hadn't talked about the Labo, but I just want to put this out because I'm excited about it. They are making a new Yume Nikki game.
Huh?
I haven't heard of the old Yume Nikki game.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you start speaking in tongues halfway through that sentence.
Yeah, I'm dehydrated. No, actually, I kind of have to use the restroom. No. So Yume Nikki is kind of an indie horror game. It is an RPG Maker game made in Japan, similar to Corpse Party, actually, Jala. Except this one is more about wandering these illogical and kind of nightmarish spaces than anything. There's no dialogue, there's no combat or anything. It's just about getting around these kind of dreamscapes, right? That slowly turn into nightmares and stuff. Really experimental, kind of a cult classic. And just recently they released, they put the original Yume Nikki on Steam for free, making people think, hey, maybe something is up with this studio. Turns out it is getting a sequel. It is in 3D, which is very exciting. It's coming out like really soon. It's coming out like February the 23rd. It's being done by a different developer, but with the input and oversight of the original developer.
It looks spooky from some of the screenshots.
Yeah, it's like really surreal, kind of a wide variance of like color palette and how well lit stuff is. I'm pretty excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is Yume Nikki Dream Diary.
Are you going to stream this when it comes out?
I think so. Yeah, I was going to stream Yume Nikki here pretty soon, but since this is coming out, I might just do the two of them in tandem.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that's a brief. Oh, go ahead.
I actually have one other just like 5-minute one. Apparently, the Final Fantasy random letters after it, the most recent, released some sort of Assassin's Creed event where they've more or less recreate Assassin's Creed inside Final Fantasy, and if you have access to playing it, I play it, or if not, at least do yourself a favor and watch some of the YouTube videos because it is crazy.
Yeah.
How does this work?
It's DLC for Final Fantasy 15. But it's gone at the end of the month. Like it's gone in like 2 days as we're recording this.
Ooh. This will not be topical when it comes out.
Yeah. So RIP this.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Jala, what's the question that you asked the nice people?
I asked, what's your preferred technique for overcoming a part of the game that's being an absolute progress wall? And thank you, Ragavan, for the question idea.
Yeah. And Ragavan starts off with a good suggestion, one that I would actually make, saying, mine is completely muting all game audio. That's how New Game Plus Maria and Orphan of Kos were defeated. Those are bosses in the DLC for Bloodborne.
Cool.
Yeah. Muting the audio can be good because oftentimes boss music is designed to be intimidating and might be a factor in you being psyched out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find there's any games where the audio cues tend to be important and you can't do that or don't do that?
That was going to be my next point here. Muting might end up being a little bit of a problem because oftentimes enemy attacks, like in the Souls games and in other games, are matched by or are telegraphed by screams or yells or sounds or stuff, especially like if it's a ranged attack and it's off camera. Most games in their audio sections like let you go in and just turn down the music so you can still hear the sound effects of the boss you're fighting.
I wonder if you could take it a step further and play like Benny Hill music, and then you'll like have more confidence fighting the boss.
It's the audio version of picturing them naked.
Yeah.
I'm still surprised more games don't do the Steam approach of having a closed caption channel.
Like the Valve games, they have this is the sound of the turret firing, kind of like that.
Yep.
I think that's very that might be resource intensive.
I know that one you can totally sneak because like there's literally a sound effect that is something along the lines of like head crab sneaking up on you. It's like literally what it says.
They should just put that. They should put that in really small font to balance it out.
Then it gets bigger as it gets closer.
Right?
Yeah.
Ben, what does Eric say?
Eric says, it's important to take a break and come back later. That was really effective when I was playing Bloodborne and got stuck at Vicar Amelia early on. Maybe reassess my build if it's looking like strategy alone isn't cutting it. And of course, looking for help from friends who are past where I am, like Jeremy Greer, who helped me through Demon Souls, and here and there in the other Soulsborne games.
Yeah, that's the ultimate tip. Get Jeremy to help you.
Yep. And he's such a nice guy, he can't say no.
Yeah, taking a break is good. Although often I find the rage helps me go over the hump. Which sounds like that's what Franz does. David, what does Franz say?
Franz says, I just bash my head against it until something breaks. It worked with Ornstein and Smog. It worked with Orphan of Chaos. Coast. It worked with that stupid goat and broken sword. It hasn't worked with Calamy yet, but I still have some head left.
I was thinking these past couple of multiplayers. It's been a while since people talked about Dark Souls.
Yeah.
And then
this question's like a lot about it.
Yeah, mostly about Dark Souls.
Yeah. I have to say, like, Ornstein and Smog sounds incredibly like a comedy act. Like, there's no scenario where that does not sound like that.
They look like a comedy act too. One's a real big heavy guy, and the other one's kind of tall and lanky. It's like a real, it's like a real honeymooners kind of thing. Huh. Ralph and Norton. Yeah, that's right. I'm 100 years old. Jala, what does Sam say?
Sam says, usually I lower the game audio a little bit and put on a podcast if I wasn't already listening. I'm playing Bloodborne for the first time, and this has helped me keep a level head. Also, having something else to pay attention to makes grinding up blood vials go down smoother. For puzzle games, I generally just play for 20 or 30 minutes a day if I'm having a lot of trouble, so I'm not just frustratedly brute forcing it. I played through The Witness in a lot of tiny chunks, and this is how I'm currently playing Opus Magnum.
Yeah. Pace yourself. Also good advice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm never not listening to a podcast when I'm playing games, except when there's dialogue. So that wouldn't help me. Yeah. Greg writes, first, I'll try getting through the difficult part several times. Then I'll try some more with some different tactics, approaches, etc. If I'm still stymied, I'll leave the game alone for several hours or days to clear my head and think about it in the background. Then try again with the new perspective. If still no go, try leaving it alone for now, and I can try it again later, presumably moving on to a different game. Finally, if I really hit a brick wall, I'll look up a game guide or some other help. Very rarely do I quit a game for good due to being stuck. This is why I wish more games. Why I wish there were more people making updated versions or making updated universal hint system guides for stuff. Mm-hmm. So you could get a hint without actually spoiling yourself for the answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know for me, kind of related to that, like one of the big ones for me is one of the big frustrating things for me is instances where like I tried the right solution to a puzzle, but maybe it was a physics problem and I was slightly off or something. So I very much like will have the point at which I'll try everything I can think of and then, try to like half skim examples to like see if, okay, was this something I already tried and the game's just being a dick or...
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, that's like, oh, the game expected me to see something that is totally hidden. And I just
missed it. Exactly.
And Jala's laughing because she's watched me stream a game.
Or two.
Yeah. Ben, what does Roop say?
Roop says, beer and other drinks, sound up to 11 and just do it. Eventually I have to get through, right?
You're falling into the state-dependent memory trap. That's how I spent an entire year of college high in mescaline.
Oh, man.
No, I
But
didn't.
what games did you play?
Luckily, he has a list.
My list starts after college.
Oh.
But no, I've never taken mescaline. That was just a funny joke about state-dependent memory. But hey,
you know someone that got through engineering school that way.
Yeah, it seems really unhealthy. But also
engineering school, not doing drugs.
Right? Yeah. I mean, engineering school is not doing a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
Let's see here. That was you. So Ben, what does Rob say?
Rob says, I'll keep trying until it gets too frustrating, and then I'll take a break and play something more relaxing for a while before going back to try it more. If all else fails, then I'll eventually admit defeat and go to a video to see if I'm doing something wrong. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. This leads into mine, so I might as well just say it as a comment. I forget who I learned this from. I think maybe like by listening to like John Siracusa on a podcast or something, saying like, if you're stuck on a boss and you know how the boss works, like there's just, your problem is just executing on beating it. It's not technically spoiling yourself to go watch a YouTube video of somebody just completely acing it. Like, oh, like this is a YouTube playthrough of somebody beating this Dark Souls boss or whatever. Not so you can figure out the pattern or whatever, but just to see that it's possible. Doing that a couple of times and then going back actually does improve your frame of mind. And that has been something I've done in the past.
Is it something you've been doing in the past week?
Oh, about Cuphead? No.
Yeah. All right.
No, but I can see that. I can see that being a thing.
No, I mean, in Cuphead, it is straight to, you must make offerings to the devil. Like that's the only.
That's the entire thing of the game. Then I would have
exactly.
Then I would have to play Cuphead coming after me to get my contract. Oh, this is so confusing.
Meta Cuphead.
It's a very meta game.
Meta Cuphead. I hardly knew. Jala, what does Michael say?
Michael says, I usually play games super aggressively. This is Mr. Aggressive Yoga. Until I hit a wall. When that happens, I take a step back and just read the opponent for a while. Really focus on their patterns and strategy. After learning their approach, I can go on the offensive again. That usually gets me past the challenge.
That's like the opposite of me. Like I'm Mr. If brute force doesn't work, it means you're not using enough of it.
You're not brooding enough.
I don't care if it's the wrong key. I'm going to turn harder and harder and harder.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mike says, if possible, I knock down the difficulty first. If that's not an option, i.e. for something like Dark Souls, I'll check out a YouTube video to observe the person's technique. I'm not too proud to use whatever exploits I can find because life is just too damn short. Yeah. Also an answer. No, I mean, yep. I didn't mean just like totally dismiss that as like you sure wrote something in, but like no, sometimes you just need to find a way to cheese it and get through.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And that's really similar to Ben. What does Jeremy say?
Jeremy says, probably not a great answer. I just move on. I mean, these days, I got other games to play. And Dark Souls 3, I wish you and I could have known each other better.
See, I feel like... Oh, okay, sorry. I feel like for Mike's answer, actually, Dark Souls, I feel like, is a game that supports that real well in that, most of the difficult things in that game can be cheesed if you really want it.
Right.
Want to. On the other hand, like I can totally relate. There are definitely times where I've gotten to games and just decided that it's not worth it. Especially now that Let's Plays are a thing.
Yeah. Why would I punish myself?
I can watch someone else
Kole struggle through games instead of struggling through myself.
That's what Kole streams for.
Yep.
Yeah, as a side note, Kole, have you streamed Getting Over It?
No, I've been playing it on my iPad. I'm waiting until I beat it to talk about it. It's very good, but I've not streamed it. Let's see here. David, what does Jonathan say?
Jonathan says, set it down, take a break. Come back to it with a fresh mind and a set of eyes.
See, I feel like a lot of you are taking your parents' advice from when you got really angry playing this game as kids.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he didn't say whose eyes to come back with.
Yeah.
So Kole.
Yeah.
Kole, we've discussed in the past when I've gotten very mad about a game, the destruction could happen, resulting in the lack of ability to play the game anymore.
Wait a minute, Jala, are you a person who has broken a controller?
No, I've never broken a controller
Okay.
because you know what? What I end up doing is I was going to wait my turn, but I'll go ahead and drop it now.
Uh-huh.
I honestly get fucking bored.
Yeah.
And when I get bored if I have to repeat it too many times in a row, I'm more than frustrated. I'm just like, this is repetitive and irritating. I'm just not going to play this anymore. And sometimes I'll go back to the game. There are many cases of that happening. And sometimes I was never interested enough to go back to it. So,
yeah,
all just kind of depends. So.
And
I do that because otherwise things would be broken.
The world does not contain enough tables.
Jala, what does Nathan say?
Nathan says, pull up a video on my trouble spot on the YouTube and watch someone else go through it. Even though I can't stand most, hey, what's up, guys? It's BangerBoy58 here videos, sometimes I can get decent commentary on how to do a thing.
I will say this as somebody who has streamed. It is very hard not to begin a stream with, hey, how's it going? Because that's what I say to somebody in real life. So like the, hey, blah, blah, blah intro is totally just reflexive. Although in trying to break out of it, I think I began a recent video with the word howdy.
Wait, was this a Western?
No, it was just like a Silent Hill game.
That's too bad.
Yeah. Oh, well.
But it was a Western Silent Hill game, was it not?
Was it?
Yes.
Was it the first video that nobody got to see because it was dead because of all the issues? Or
No,
the other
it's the one coming out tomorrow or Wednesday as people are listening to this.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's go one more time around.
Sure.
Adam says, I enjoy looking for the boss's weakness, whether it is poison or stunning attacks. Also, usually I try to buff my party with haste or regen. Really like how the recent ports for Final Fantasy games have the option for speeding up gameplay to make grinding easier. Yeah.
How about they just remove the grinding?
Yeah,
Just fuck that. I mean,
the speeding up is really an admission of defeat.
I know, like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's okay. There are people out there, we've had this discussion, who like that kind of thing. So more power to you.
This is really fresh because you are like the Persona 4 is never ending.
Oh, fuck no. I got some things to say. All right, we'll get there.
Ben, what does Jonathan say?
Jonathan says, I usually play only on the hardest difficulty. This usually means the harder battle is the first. Mass Effect, The Witcher, and Elder Scrolls all being standouts of this. It's all downhill from there. Sometimes I watch a Let's Play. Seeing it done gives me the belief that it can be done.
So when you get stuck, it's your fault because you're playing on the hardest difficulty. That sounded more like I was rumming it in. Yeah,
I know. It totally did. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, vicious tonight.
I didn't mean it that way, but okay.
You're so raw.
David, what does David say?
David says that I should switch to the tab. David says, imagine the boss in their underwear. It makes them much less intimidating and helps calm me down. Although I hear that does not work for Outlast, rather.
Yeah, you have to imagine. I thought you were about to say, oh, that doesn't work for public speaking. I was going to say, you're right. It makes me horny. No. What's David's real answer, though?
Wait, no. Is there more? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Wow, this is not my night. I'm going to need to use some of these ideas in order to allow me to read this answer. Real answer is record myself and watch what I'm failing at.
Oh, it's like fixing your golf swing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then finally, Jala, what do we have here with Julia?
Julia says, whiskey and abject suffering is the only reason I have a semi-viable arcane build in Bloodborne and most chalices done.
I'm happy to be of service.
Yeah.
So I said mine, watching a video and learning that it's possible. Also, turning down the music is a good one. Ben, You play a lot of difficult stuff. How do you get through?
Yeah, I think I'm someone of the, like, I just give up and play something else kind of mindset. But it's very dependent upon the game. If it's a game that I really like, if it's a developer I really like, and a game I want to get to the end of, then usually I'll try something else, like easier difficulty or something like that. But most of the time, it's just move on.
Yeah, you're pretty good at finishing the stuff that you start, though.
Yeah.
David, how about you?
Sure. So I think for me, it tends to be one of two things. One, I tend to do a lot of just kind of, nip around, making progress wherever I can make progress. And it seems like eventually I've kind of removed enough stones that the border shifts or whatever. Or I'd say alternately, I tend to semi-like grinding in games. Not so much JRPG grinding, but, powering up my characters. And I find a lot of it for me is, I go off, do that, and by the time I come back, usually the, fight is laughably easy. Which is probably not the best way to do it, but...
Yeah, you just you throw elbow grease on it.
Yeah, like I said, if brute force isn't working, not using enough of it.
And then Jala, do you have anything besides stopping because things get bored, get boring?
Well, kind of like how David said, sometimes if there's somewhere else I can go and make some progress, if I like the game enough, and I'm just frustrated with that one particular part, then I will just shuffle off to a different area of the game. Otherwise, it's just put it down. I don't even fuck with it. Because no. And like if I'm really, really stymied, if I go back to it and I'm still having a problem with it, that's when I will ask people that I know who have played it, okay, what the hell, guys? And then I will get some kind of tips, and then I will go back and go from there. So
appeal to the Sherpa.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for writing in. Thank you, Ragavan, for suggesting the question. Thank you, Jala, for putting it up. I apologize that we didn't get to everybody, but we have that up for 2 weeks. And if you want to participate in these in the future...
Again with the snark.
No, I'm just...
Also, in the Slack, I dropped a thing that this is totally a thing from Persona that is David.
So this is Chie saying, let's get prepared, let's go over prepared, and leave footprints all over his stupid smug face.
Yep.
Yeah. If you want to go ahead. If you want to participate in these in the future, go to the Level Podcast or Facebook.com/the Level Podcast and watch for them to go up on Tuesday afternoons.
The grind.
Now it is time for the grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. For the first time in a long time, everybody here was also here last time. Was also for the previous episode. So in that case, I'm going to take a rare
who
bit
goes
of,
first.
Do it.
I'm going to take a rare bit of initiative because I have something that I've been playing that actually came out here recently. So, what's that?
This is uncomfortable. I'm not used to this.
I don't know if I'm prepared.
Something that I've had a lot of fun doing on other shows, I haven't done it so much here, is inflicting knowledge violence on the people that I'm co-hosting with. Specifically with Gary and with Jeremy, I will just drop some kind of just basic facts about something like Dragon Ball Z that I remember from middle school. And I've been doing it enough that when I was looking at videos and some footage and stuff about this new game, Dragon Ball FighterZ, but it's stylized as Dragon Ball FighterZ, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to buy this. It's been a long time since I played a fighting game. Go ahead.
That's a curveball.
I know, right?
Curveball for real.
Yeah, no, okay. I've been playing Dragon Ball FighterZ. Again, stylized as Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is a very dumb name for a video game. But yes, this is a pretty fun game. So I think it's the same team that did the Guilty Gear games or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like in the story, it takes place after blah, 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 the Buu saga, before the Super, whatever. Doesn't matter. It has its own story where all of the heroes are knocked out by energy waves. They wake up and there's a spirit that possesses each of them to fight and get to the bottom of what's going on. You are that spirit and you're just controlling a bunch of Dragon Ball characters. This is a 2D fighting game that is done in kind of a 3D engine. And it has this really just gorgeous looking toon shader over everything. It's incredibly well animated, and it's not like it looks identical to the to the old cartoon or whatever, but it looks very similar to my memory of it. It's like, oh yeah, like that's totally Trunks. This is a very good looking game.
This is very important to me. Do they have whoever it was that voiced Trunks from like the Xenoverse, where he sounds like he smokes like fucking 50 packs a day? Is that guy doing Trunks' voice in here? Please say no.
No, it doesn't sound like that. Like he just
Okay.
sounds like a dude. All of the VOs in Japanese, which is fine because the dialogue is dumb. I just kind of like X through it while skimming it for verbs and ideas of what's going on next.
Verbs that aren't power up and punch.
Kind of, yeah. I'm just here to see, like, oh, like I have nostalgia and affection for that character. What do they control like in a fighting? Oh, it's cool. Like Piccolo plays a little bit like Dhalsim. Like his limbs are all stretchy. Oh, so does like Majin Buu. Neat. It's good stuff. It's kind of a simple fighting game. Like every character, like most of the commands to do like a super attack or a special attack, or even kind of like your motion stuff, like disappearing and reappearing behind an enemy for an attack, or they're like their equivalent of a grab, which is like a dragon rush or whatever, which is just an auto combo button that locks them up in the air. Like all of it's the same. It's always like quarter circle forward plus a button, quarter circle back plus a button. And the way everything kind of differs from character to character is those are all kind of mapped to different moves. So it's actually like, think if you combined like Guilty Gear and Smash Brothers almost, where like in Smash Brothers pressing
the
like
template's the same.
Like the input's the same, but the output is, slightly different based on the character, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a ridiculously flashy game, but like my worry that the flashiness would make it hard to parse what was going on is kind of unfounded. I feel like I'm doing okay at this. I've not gone online, and that would probably disabuse me of that notion. But it's like I'm doing stuff in fighting games that I've always had a little bit of trouble doing, like blocks or block counters, or like getting high combo counts up without doing the auto combo. Like I'm figuring out and learning these characters, and it's a very good time.
Yeah.
Cool.
See, my concern would be like if I were to play it, having a history of playing fighting games with all the complex inputs, if this would be like simple enough that it would like irritate me, or would this actually be okay for me, is something that I won't know unless I actually play it. So
yeah, I have no idea. For me, like you get to go into battle with 3 characters, and like you can do. It's kind of like I understand Marvel, like the later Marvel versus Capcoms are, like you can do switch assists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like each of the characters feels different, right? And for me, the fun of like playing a fighting game isn't like inputting this massive combo to do a huge special attack. It's like in understanding the flow and being, like taking a crack at like anticipating what an enemy is going to do, or also like anticipating what the enemy thinks I'm going to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the fun part of like Street Fighter 2 to me, So for me, the simplicity isn't like a specific bummer.
Oh, I know. And like, the evolution of a lot of fighting games towards a simpler input method are because, of those kinds of concerns. And of course, like that's fine. But, like just because I have such a long history of having played the more Twitch-based, complicated inputs, I don't know if I would be bothered or not bothered.
Yeah.
Like I really don't know until I play it. So.
Yeah. The story mode is fine. Like you have an overworld map that you can go like from node to node on. And each node has like a battle on it. And some of them are marked as tutorials. Some of them are marked as opportunities to like recruit a new person to add to your party. You always want to go for those. And then each map has a has a a boss battle that will end it, that will end that stage and then put you into the next one. And as you move around, the different battles get harder and level up, so you can bounce around and make the enemies harder, so you can get more experience out of them and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many different worlds are there?
I don't know. I feel like I'm about halfway through the story, which means that I'm probably about to the end. I mean, it's just if history holds. Yeah. Yeah, it's real cool. I like this game a lot. It's
Yay.
I don't even want to say like it's dumb fun or whatever. I'm not going to minimize it. It's like the most fun I've had in a fighting game for a while.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool.
It looks super polished in terms of its animation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know anyone who has this game as well that you can play with online? Or
No, I don't. I'm sure
Okay.
there are people in the community who probably have it.
Mm-hmm.
I have it on PS4, if that matters. I think it does. I think I don't know if they have cross-platform on or not.
Gotcha.
It's available on Steam too. I'm most certain that my PS4 will run something like this. Yeah. So that's one. Ben, you got really excited because you saw me playing Cuphead. You got excited because you had played this and you like that game. Also, thank you very much. You got this game for me for Christmas.
No problem. I hope you enjoy it despite its difficulty.
So I had a mindset problem because that day that you saw me playing it, I was playing the shoot 'em up game Ikaruga, because that won the WoW Shmup Bowl. Sorry, Ikaruga.
Well, that's how I say it. Yes.
I was playing that game, and just God, that game is balls hard. I know people say it's not hard for that kind of game. I don't play that kind of game. It's very difficult. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to jump out of this. I'm going to go play
play something casual like Cuphead.
Yeah, I was like, oh, like this game, like Cuphead. Cuphead is, talked about as if it's a, like a shoot 'em up, like has bullet hell kind of elements. So I was like, yeah, why not just let's go do that. That's more modern. I'll really enjoy looking at the animation. That game is very difficult. That isn't exactly a new observation. The animation has to be seen to be believed. And also, I think that even just watching a video of it probably won't do it justice, because the animation is so good that it makes it easier to read what an enemy is about to do. Mm-hmm. I think that, like...
everything's telegraphed very well. Yeah.
Yes. And everything is telegraphed like on a rhythm as well. Because it is that 1930s style animation. So things like tend to undulate and be on a little bit of a metronome, which is really helpful. Like something can be over animated and it can really get in the way. This is not the case. I was actually really surprised to see how much that served the core of the play.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. So how far did you make it? What bosses did you face?
Oh, man. So I fought the Root Gang. Which is good. That's like an intro fight. You're fighting against like these 3 gigantic root vegetables. The onion attacks you with his tears, like he cries, and they drop from above, which is fun. I did the slime, which is an enemy who bounces up and down and eventually turns into his own tombstone, which chases you around.
Yeah.
And I did one of the run and gun stages, which was harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
That's like the normal platformer, like just get through this kind of thing. And then I petered out on the actual shmup stage when you get the plane and you're fighting the Zodiac sign lady.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So that's where I'm at. I have a feeling I'm not very far at all.
You're almost done. Yeah. I agree with your statement that you kind of have to like play it to believe it, or it's just a really beautiful game. It's weird to say like the payoff of this game is seeing the animations and like what they change into next, just because of like how creative that is and just how pretty that is.
Yeah.
That's like a weird. I don't think I've experienced that with a game before. Like that's a weird way to describe like the enjoyment of it.
It leans so far into this is cartoon logic. Anything can happen kind of stuff. Like when I said the slime turns into his own tombstone, like, yeah, that's absurd on its face, but like you would totally expect this in a cartoon of that vintage, of that era,
So great. Yeah.
Yeah.
and the Zodiac one is so cool too, because she'll pass by with like a random sign, and then that determines like what type of battle you'll have with her for the next part.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a twin battle, and there's like a ram battle and stuff. It's great.
Yeah. The one other thing that I want to say about this, because I haven't played too much, I don't feel like I could speak with authority. What I love is when you die, okay, on the continue screen or whatever, it shows you a progress meter for how far you were.
Yes.
Either in the run and gun level or on a boss fight. Like, it will give you notches and lines to show like the stages of the fight. And if you know, for every single stage of a boss fight, if you die during it, the boss has a little quote. You know, so like if you die during the during the tombstone kind of thing, the slime says, "Oh, I excel the most in grave situations" or whatever. But like that's one of the hardest, like that's one of the most intense things or frustrating things is like, okay, I died in this. I have no idea how much more, basically how close I got. This is instant feedback on like, oh, like you were almost to the end of that phase and you're about to see what's next. So like maybe go in and try and do a little bit better so you can see the next one.
Yeah, it gives you like a good near miss where it's like I was almost at the end. Like if only I didn't get hit right there. I think it has a negative effect later on in the game where it's like you only are at the first step and there's like 6 steps to go and it's like I don't think I can do this one.
That could totally cut the other way. Yeah.
But, yeah, super enjoyable though. So I'm glad you like it so far.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna jump back into it.
If you stream it, let me know, and I would like to watch you play. But
okay, I'll have to roll that over. People already see how bad I am at video games when I do games I know how to play.
That's fair. That's like a harder one to stream too because it's a lot of like doing the same thing over and over again. I think. Yeah, my one tiny complaint with the game is that like you don't develop like lasting skills kind of with what you know. It's like you need to like hammer away at a boss over and over again until you get the rhythm down and then you beat it. But then like an hour or two later, you're back at square one with that boss.
Yeah. So I get the sense that all the bosses are different enough from each other that like there's not a lot that transfers over aside from just general like nimbleness with your fingers. Yeah.
And what did you think of the counter system that they had?
It's cool. I need to get better about reading the projectiles to know which ones are safe to do that with.
Yeah, it's always so it's like this weird system where on each boss battle they'll highlight some of the things in pink, this like bright hot pink color, and it means that you can double jump on it and counter it, and it gives you like an extra little like jump, and it's a part of the grade.
And also doesn't kill you.
That's true. Yeah. One of the few things on the map that won't kill you. But like they grade you on each level, and part of the grade is like making sure that you countered enough items throughout it. So it's like this kind of weird auxiliary task that you have.
Yeah. Well, it's also a way like it'll charge up your meter for special attacks too.
Oh yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
It's a neat game.
Yeah, I think only other piece of advice is you don't have to do the run and gun stuff. Like apparently they added that in like secondary to the game because they just had like all boss battles and people complained about that. But in the game, the way it works is that'll give you coins to buy different types of guns. Right. I only bought, I think I bought 2 or 3 different guns, but the one with the increased power but shorter range was the only one that I found to be like effective and like actually helped me beat people that I couldn't beat otherwise. So that might be worth investing in. But
did you not use the invulnerability one?
That's like the super power up. I did not use that one. No.
Oh no, I mean I get. It seems like, granted, this is me mostly watching people play because this is not my type of game. But it seems like most people defaulted to the. I guess there's one that makes it so you can warp through attacks with your dodge or something.
Yeah, like it. The idea is instead of dashing, you just kind of like Nightcrawler Bamf for the length of your dash. Effectively, it gives your dash iframes so that like you can just poof through projectiles or enemy attacks. That was really disorienting for me because until I get like a really good sense for how long the dash is, I just found myself actually like dashing into danger as opposed to away from it or through it. Yeah,
it's like a rookie Nightcrawler. The origin story of Nightcrawler.
let's see here. I don't want to monopolize too much of this. I got my SNES Classic, and that's a bunch of old ass games that everybody's played before. So I just want to stick
for one.
Well, except for the one. I haven't played that one yet. I just unlocked it the other day. I'm saving that one for a rainy day. But it's a cool little thing. You want to get an extension cable with it for your for the controllers, because those cords are way too short. But otherwise, it's fun to effortlessly play SNES games on your big screen.
Thanks. Yeah. And is this like a straight up SNES, like same circuitry, stuff like that, just modernized, or is this an emulator? Kind of what is this?
It's like an emulator. It's basically like a little Raspberry Pi thing inside of a case that is meant to look like that looks like a very cute tiny SNES.
Okay.
That has controllers that are the exact size and like even the same like roughness of the texture as the original SNES. Like holding on to this thing, cool. Like I was just like transported. Like, whoa! I'm immediately 8 again.
Well, here's an important question that you're going to have to follow up on later. You're going to have to report in and let us know if it starts turning yellow.
Yeah, I initially thought that was because the SNES spent most of the time at my dad's and he smoked and it turned yellow. No, it turns out that's just like a defect that it would turn yellow, or certain batches of it would turn yellow when exposed to oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
So
also
good.
Oh, sorry, no, I timed that wrong.
So I will definitely let you know in a couple of years if it starts turning yellow. That would be very cool if they did that for authenticity's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, point of order: Kole was never 8 years old. He was born as an old man.
Like I said, I'm 100. I've always been 100.
You were born 100?
Yeah. The only other thing, I just want to put it on the record here and make a note of it. I did play in Complete Corpse Party over the course of a weekend. With Jala's observation and assistance.
So what is that a straight up visual novel, or what is the gameplay of that?
The first one is not a straight up visual novel, although it is more of like a very text based adventure. Yeah. Because it was made in RPG Maker, you are walking around like navigating a school, most of the time trying to find the things that you need to progress the plot. And there are certain sequences that are, action based, where you're trying to avoid somebody, or trying to, get through an area in a limited amount of time.
I was so hoping that the beginning of Chapter 5, when you reunite with Yuka, and like during that whole sequence, that action sequence there, I was really hoping that you would have more of a reaction than that, because I thought that was like super awesome when I was playing it. And I was just like, oh man. And I still kind of feel that like some of your enjoyment of it, or like some of your frustrations kind of they're due to the design decisions of the game, but also in part it's because you were streaming it, so like you have to be entertaining to stream a thing, and whatever, so you don't
I mean, you've seen me do it. I don't have to be entertaining to do it.
Don't tell me
well, yeah, but there were times where you were like, mentioning people watching and apologizing for whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, the type of game this is not 100% super exciting for streams. Although I was very glad to see so many people that were watching the streams, getting into it and saying, "Oh man, I really like this game," and stuff like that.
It was a very well attended stream. Like a lot of people came to, like, the average viewers were higher. Those moments where I was saying like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry to make you guys like watch me wander around. Those definitely were times where I was running up against kind of, I think, some poor signaling or poor sequencing. Like, just like an important thing spawned behind you because you managed to go and trigger this flag, right? The like parts of that are pretty antiquated. Those are times where if I was playing it alone, I would just be really frustrated and then immediately go to a guide. Like,
well, for me, it's like, because the whole point is like you're in a creepy ass school and you don't know where the hell you're going or what the hell you're supposed to do. Like, all of that was fine for me, and I didn't find any of that. Interestingly, as much as I get frustrated with stuff all the time like that, that didn't cause a problem for me. Although there are some definite points where there's just like no signaling, and you're just like, you just have to push the button in a place.
Like, I have to go back to every room and every hallway to see if something's changed.
Yeah.
It's just not my favorite kind of design. Even when it shows up in like other more modern games, like I get really frustrated when it's like, well, where the fuck does the game expect me to go?
Yeah, exactly. And like, they really should have telegraphed it better. But then again, I guess because the writing was good enough, and the music and everything, like I was okay with it. Like it didn't bother me enough to dislike it. I'm so sorry, David. I ran over everything.
Did it answer your question about what kind of game it is?
Is this to me?
Yes.
So what I was actually wondering is like how does it work? How does a horror game work with that? Like what makes it scary, or is it scary, or kind of what sort of horror game is it, or those sorts of things?
Yeah.
Tell versus show.
What Jala said, I talked over there. She said tell versus show. The game is very, very good at description. It gets an awful lot of mileage out of the simple kind of like super deformed sprite visuals by either the way people talk or about just kind of descriptions of what's going on, of what you're seeing.
The combination of the sounds that you hear, like very often when it gets to a very graphic part, the screen goes black or red, and then you hear noises, and then the screen might flash or something as somebody is stabbed or whatever, and then like you hear the voices, you hear the wet, soppy, sounds of, I guess, a body being stabbed or something, and then you get to read these very well scripted descriptions of these horrible things that are going on that you're not seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So
it
all works really well.
The situation, scenario, setting are all very pretty upsetting. There's horror to be found there. There was a common arc for people who would tune in and say, wait a minute, what the fuck is this animated shit? I thought this was a horror stream. They would stick around, be kind of brought in by the characters, and then when something fucked up happened, they would say, whoa, I totally didn't expect this to be like this.
And I when I first started talking about it, I'm like, you have to bear with the very beginning of the game because it is, it's an anime thing with some school kids doing whatever and just talking a lot. But then once you get dropped in the school, like, whoa, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
It totally changes. So
that's I mean, despite its flaws, I really enjoy it, and like I've jumped in. I'm partway through the first chapter of Book of Shadows.
Oh boy, did you have to set it down?
Are you like, okay? Was that like a masturbation joke, or was that just like
no, that was not. No, that was just like that's too much. I gotta just like set it down for a bit.
It really does lean into like, this is just kind of like straight up erotic at points.
And I was just like, that first chapter, once you get past that, it gets better. Cool. It's just that first one's just okay.
I'm sure it will. Just like, whoa, you guys took that to 11. I just not the flavor that I want to have thrown in with with a horror game about kids, basically. He said hypocritically because he likes Stephen King. I'm constructing a straw man response about.
Can I mention a brief Stephen King story?
Sure.
I watched a movie called Gerald's Game upon recommendation, which is a Stephen King movie that's on Netflix.
Yeah.
But the premise of it is like this couple goes away for a weekend and to have like sexy time or whatever, and so now like my queue on Netflix is filled with a bunch of like stuff like that. It's like
all BDSM stuff.
Yeah.
No, I want to watch that. They put they put Gerald's Game and 1922 on there. I'm real excited. Like this is a like golden age for Stephen King adaptations that are not The Dark Tower. So if you want to watch that play, like, I mean, I streamed this. I've put them up on YouTube. All of my streams now, the intention is to edit them. So like if there's a period of time where like, this is a bunch of loading screens, or I'm wandering around and nothing's really happening, or there's nothing good in chat, I just cut that out to make it more focused. Just to kind of make it a little bit more friendly to watch in YouTube. later on for archival purposes. So yeah, those are on youtube.com/Duckfeed.tv. Wow, this is the most I've talked about video games for a very long time.
Says the man who does all these podcasts about video games.
On this show, I guess. On this show. Yeah. Who wants to go next?
So, I have a somewhat recent one.
Okay.
So I've been I guess kind of grinding pretty hardcore on Monster Hunter World.
Oh dang, I got that one too. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. So I don't know. This is funny because like actually Cole first told me about this like when we were in high school or something. I was really into Phantasy Star Online.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, oh, well, you should try out this, game Monster Hunter. But this has been like the first time that one's been at all like recent, or you know what I mean? It's the first time you
caught one on release. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like all the other times, like basically the previous like PlayStations I got long after they were first released, so it was kind of the community was dead.
Right. And also like Monster Hunter has been on weird systems. Like they after that initial PS2 one that I recommended to you, like it went to PSP and then it went to like the Wii, and then like the most recent ones that people really enjoy are on the 3DS.
Yeah, exactly. So this is has kind of been, I don't know, a thing, and it almost seems like from kind of what I've seen on the on our Slack and kind of online, it seems like that's actually a pretty common experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like with kind of the world subtitle and I guess they've added in a lot of features to try to make the game more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like that's almost kind of an intentional strategy play on their part.
It's like a re-rack to make things a little bit more accessible to new folks, grow their audience.
Right, exactly. So so far I'm really enjoying it. It's basically, I guess for people who don't know, it's a third person like action RPG. Combat is a little bit like Dark Souls, although I would say I actually maybe in some ways more like a Bloodborne type of thing. It doesn't have the like the super tactical like turdly type of thing that
you mean like turtly, not turdly as in he did it like a turd, he did it turdly.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, having the characteristics of a tortoise.
Being turtly enough for the turtle club. Gotcha.
Yes, exactly. Instead it kind of has more the Bloodborne, where it's more about, I guess, kind of like positioning, that sort of thing. But then the big draw is, as the name suggests, you're basically fighting dinosaurs. And so it's a little bit Shadow of the Colossus style in that, each fight is, a physiologically very different enemy that therefore moves and attacks in dramatically different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Also, ironically enough, for a game that is super anime, kind of, it's probably the most scientifically accurate dinosaurs of any game I've ever seen.
They got feathers,
in that they're all feathers.
Nice.
So yeah, that's just kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's got really great aesthetic in that, it's your characters are almost these sort of like steampunk cavemen.
Okay.
Where it's, on the one hand, like everything is made out of these like monster bones and feathers and leather, and things like that. But on the other hand, they very much have kind of Final Fantasy, kind of look with, goggles and, gears and machinery and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of the weapons are like straight up Bloodborne style, like switch weapons, stuff like that. So it's this really weird aesthetic that I don't know, I really enjoy so far. The other thing I'm really enjoying is you have a little cat sidekick called a Palico that fight like straight up fights alongside you, and you can like equip it with armor and stuff like that.
Importantly, you can design your cat.
Yes, you can. So mine is a black was it tabby is a tiger striped cat.
Mm-hmm.
A black tabby with gray stripes. But yeah, you can, and it's currently has, I think, the armor is made from basically a Tyrannosaurus, and it's designed to make him look like a little tiny dinosaur.
Nice.
Similarly, there's one you can get that is like a there's all sorts. There's ones you can get that make them look like robotic and just all sorts of crazy stuff. But yeah, so I don't know, like it's a lot of fun. Like I really want to talk about it a lot, but it's also a game that's very, very much about the experience.
Mm-hmm. I can believe it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know what else. There have been kind of some neat things. There is at least a basic ecology system where the various dinosaurs are wandering around the map and can get into fights and things like that, and you can in certain places use the environment against them. For example, there's one area I'm nearby that basically it's a desert and has a sinkhole that if you set off an explosive, it'll like temporarily bury one of the enemies so you can run up and attack them.
Yeah. It's there's a huge emphasis on placing traps and stuff like that, right? Even like especially for the bigger enemy fights, like when you're fighting big dinos.
Right, exactly. So it is a little weird, like I don't know. So I feel like some of the tone is just a little weird in that like it is kind of like big game hunter, kill all the nature type of thing.
Yeah.
There's I don't know. I think there's some unintentionally funny dialogue early on where they're talking about like, oh, why are these monsters always out to get us? It's like, dude, you guys are slaughtering them.
Yeah, you're always out to get them.
Yeah.
Is it a pretty game?
Yeah, it is. It's I would say it's extremely dense game in terms of its graphical style, that sort of thing. It doesn't do a whole lot of just like vistas and things like that. But yeah, it's definitely very pretty. And in particular, the some of the enemy animation is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
It does a really good job. They've put in a ton of just extra animations. So like one of the monsters, basically its thing is it'll like roll around in mud in order to armor itself. And like if you go and follow it around, like it'll just like go around and like do that. Like they're all have quirks in terms of what's just their like day-to-day things they're doing.
Yeah.
Similarly, there's a lot of ones, for example, with your cat companion, there's a lot of just things it can do. If you ever go into like deep water, your cat immediately inflates a little rubber raft and like paddles around.
Gosh. That's a cheap shot. Okay, that can't be allowed to stand.
Well, and then it's also, then when if combat breaks out, it'll fight from that. But if it gets hit, its raft will get flipped. It'll appear to proceed to fly out and splash in the water, and being a cat, freak out.
You just sold like 6 copies of this game. You know that, right?
Yeah. that is my job here. But, so it's really good. The weapon's very diverse. Has a mini Shadow of the Colossus kind of like climbing monsters system.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. I'm hoping to get on with some of the Duckfeed people. I've just been soloing so far, but it should be good.
Very cool.
So one more thing. This is not something I've been playing recently, but something that actually Jala's commentary on Trunks' voice made me think of, and what I meant to comment on a while back. Metal Gear Solid 5. What is the deal with every character that's not Snake, just whenever you sprint, just sounding like they're about to die?
I don't know. I think they just wanted to oversell that it's exerting.
Yeah, they definitely oversell it.
Yeah, I don't know, and it doesn't make sense because Snake definitely would be the person who would huff and puff the most, given his smoking habit.
Yeah, well, considering like I don't know, like technically his stats aren't that great.
Yeah,
but that's a whole other thing.
I have no answer.
I like how they had to make sound effects for things getting extravated, or was it excavated?
Extracted.
What's yeah. Exfiltrate, right? Exfiltrated.
Yeah, there we go.
That's it.
Yeah.
They had to make sound effects for all like animals and people doing that.
And they, for most of them, chose the most ridiculous possible choice.
I mean, that's where the old title Goat Balloon Filter comes from. Yeah. Neat. Well, Monster Hunter World sounds really good.
Yeah, it's
cool.
Yeah. You felt like your destiny needed to be a little bit more ridiculous?
Yes. But part of my problem with Destiny is how seriously it seems to take itself. Yeah. So between Jala and Ben, who wants to go next? It's going to be Jala because Ben will never go in front of somebody. So
okay. Well, for my co-op corner, I actually did manage some co-op around things. I played some more Vermintide DLC with Greg, Briar, and Conrad.
Nice.
I did a couple more missions, which were both inside of towns, and I don't honestly remember as much about them as the other DLC that I was talking about the last time, which had, really striking settings and very different, tasks or elements to them. And so they obviously didn't strike as much of a chord with me in general as the first several did. So I don't have much to say about it. Like, the current pack of DLC is just not very exciting. It's just more of the same stuff that you start out with the basic game.
Is this the dwarf one or the vampire one?
I don't know. Greg is the one who bought the DLC, so he's the one who is taking us on these missions. So I have no idea which one we're in right now. The dwarf one was probably the one that I did first because I remember that we were in a dwarven city underground. So this must be the other one.
Nice. Have you gone to the darkness part yet?
The darkness part?
Yeah.
Are you referring to the dungeon that you're in where you have to have the torch in order to see anything, otherwise it's pitch black?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the memorable ones that I was talking about the last time. That and then like the snowy mountains and then all these other different things, like all these crazy places that look awesome, like awesome places to hike, and then like these snow-colored rats pop out of the snow. Did I mention snow? That was a thing that was happening last time. So, that was last time's DLC. This time's DLC, not so much. So, Dwarf DLC, good. This other one, meh. It's all right. It's just more of the same stuff. It's not bad. It's just not memorable. So I don't have anything else to say about that. That happened. So I did play something new. I'll talk about that before I rant about Persona. So I played a little bit of Abzu or however it's supposed to be pronounced. I don't know.
I think it's Abzu. I've always heard it Abzu.
Okay, well then Abzu. It's an adventure game where you're a diver who wakes up in the middle of the ocean and you just kind of start wandering around. There's collectibles and puzzles for you to do. And so I thought I'd be real into this because I used to go diving and snorkeling all the time when I lived in Miami, but it's a lie. I was not interested in this game like at all. I tried and failed to play it. I got bored real fast and then I just turned it off, and that was it. I didn't even hit a wall. I just turned it off. I had complete apathy about it, which was disappointing because it looks very pretty and little puzzles and just like kind of like a chill. It just seems like a chill game that I would want to play when I'm relaxing at the end of my day. And that's what I thought. And I said, this will be a good game for me to play right now because whatever, I've got stuff going on. And no, I was unimpressed. I don't know. So, anybody else here, have you played Abzu, or if a listener has played it, tell me, is there anything like super exciting and appealing that I'm missing from just playing a little bit of the beginning part? Is there just stuff later that's so exciting that I have to go back in and force myself to get through it to see it?
This will inform the answer to that question that you're going to get, Jala. Have you played and enjoyed other stuff by that game company, specifically Journey?
I don't know. What else
Flower.
did they do?
They did Flower.
Oh, Flower. No, I don't even know. I have never.
They did Firewatch, right?
No, that's different.
Campo Santo.
No, I have.
But you never played Journey.
No.
Yeah. So you have no specific affection for the style of I'm heading in a direction with purpose through a pretty place.
No.
Okay.
Isn't that kind of the definition of walking simulator?
I mean, yeah, there's similarity between that.
See, and the thing is that I have some degree of tolerance for a walking sim, and I have an affection for wandering away in an open world game and not even paying attention to quests and just doing whatever I want to. So and just looking at stuff and taking screenshots. So that's why I really thought that I would like this game, and I don't know why it just didn't catch my attention at all. I don't hate it, I just don't have it. I feel nothing about it.
Yeah, well, that's a bummer.
Is there a clear goal to the game, or when you started, is it just kind of you just float around and explore?
I don't know. I have no idea. I would assume that there is a reason for the progress and the puzzles and the whatever. That there would be some form of eventual story elements, but I don't.
What do you think this is? No Man's Sky?
Okay. Well, anyway, that's all I have to say about that too. I didn't have that much to say about it.
Yeah, the answer will have to come from outside the podcast. I'm positive there'll be people who provide you guidance.
Somebody will get mad at me for not feeling anything about it. So anyway, Persona 4 Golden. This fucking game will never fucking end. Oh my god, guys! 89 hours and counting. Oof. Motherfucker, I finished the end boss and it's still going. This fucking game will never end. Oh my god. So, all right.
How do you know it's the end boss if the thing keeps going?
I was told that it was the end boss.
Wow.
And that the end boss is dead. It's gone. The end boss is over. The main story is over. Yeah. And this game is not over yet. So
it's possible this could be a JRPG.
God, yeah. So there are reasons why I didn't play any of these for a very, very long time.
Yeah, and likely won't for a very long time after.
Well, here's the thing: is that all right, I don't hate it.
Uh-huh.
I'm not frustrated with it. I just don't know why it won't stop. Like, it wouldn't stop. Like, unless it really screws something up in this last, like, I think I've just unlocked the very last dungeon. Unless they screw something up in this very last dungeon completely, I don't think that I'm going to end up on the side of hating it. I think I still end up on the side of liking it, which is puzzling because this entire time I've kind of been like back and forth about elements that I kind of like, and then I don't like them anymore. And then I really like them, and then I don't like them. And I think it's just because it's so long of an experience that it's just like you go through love-hate relationships with it as if you were in like a long-term romantic relationship or a very long friendship where you just have, seasons to your romance. Like, it's just kind of like that with this game. Like, it just, so, but I have a couple of anecdotes about the things, not even about playing the game, but just like thinking about the game when I'm not playing it.
Okay.
So I was training the other day, and the Shin Mitsuo Tensei theme came on, which is Shadow Mitsuo's boss battle music, which is the 8-bit looking boss that made me stop playing this fucking game at like hour 40. Okay. And I like the theme of the boss battle, even though it was a frustration because I had to stop and end up going back and grinding to get past it. But I had this little problem with it when I got to thinking about it. Because Mitsuo is a teenager, right? So homie ain't old enough to get them 8-bit feels. He's a whiny little fucker. He's identifying, I swear if he were like, actually a gamer playing actual video games, he'd identify with that fucking little blonde emo kid Cloud that nobody takes seriously because he's blonde and trying to be emo. So, he would identify with Cloud. He would not identify with some 8-bit hero like his 8-bit dungeon and his 8-bit boss. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
Do we know what year the game takes place in? Because it came out in 2008.
7, I want to say, is the year.
Okay.
So,
I mean, anyway, that was also like what in the mid 2000s was when Hot Topic came around, and the retro game kind of became a bit of a like, I'm going to wear this shirt that has pixel art on it kind of thing. I can totally see that settling in by that point. It would have been far less. Go ahead.
Black kid living in the ghetto. He's a Marilyn Monroe looking motherfucker with a beauty mark, and otherwise, he looks like an average dude, which is hilarious to me, but he has like this beauty mark for no reason. Anyway, Shadow Mitsuo is stupid, and he never showed back up again, which is also stupid. And he also came out of nowhere as the first villain, and then he was dropped on his ass just like Cloud. No wonder I hate him, because he's fucking like Cloud. Stupid Cloud. So that's one little anecdote about me musing about it. But then, I was thinking in the car on the way home from Belly Dance last week about this game, and all of a sudden I had another thought, and I attribute this thought completely to you guys, and it's a bad influence. This is not a compliment. I thought of the main characters and about how the main characters' glory days are over, and the rest of their lives they're gonna like spend reliving like their year together in the TV world with personas, and it sounds like some shit that one of you dudes would pop off with, except in your case, Cole, you might add that no one else understands them but each other. And like I had this whole conversation with you guys in my like hypothetical situation going on in my head on the way home from Belly Dance the other night. So thanks, guys.
No, they're ruined. Well, first off, I'm happy I broke your spirit. The second off, like, they're going to have PTSD for days and days because their entire reality is split apart.
Yeah.
And by days and days, I mean years and years.
Yeah. Well, and then there's a couple of other little fiddly things about this game. So for most of the game, the social links with your team kind of only go up every once in a while after an important event. But at the end of this, like when you fight the end boss, it's like, ping, we killed the big bad. Ping, we returned home. What? Like pacing much? Like it's literally, 2 text windows and you warp back. And then suddenly you go up twice in your social link. That's stupid.
Yeah, your home planet needs you.
Like, I mean, okay, this is a 100-hour game easily.
Yeah. They could definitely soften the landing on that a little bit.
I'm so mad. Oh, and then I mentioned this before, but you can date one or more of the girls in the party.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose Naoto, but I didn't manage to get her social link maxed out before Christmas, so she didn't go on a date with me, and I had to hang out with the dudes, which was
to continue the Final Fantasy VII analogy.
Wait, so that's what I'm doing wrong. You can only date on Christmas. Oh.
You got stuck with Barrett at the Gold Saucer.
Oh, here's the thing. So, I missed that date, but then you can also date them around Valentine's Day, and I think I missed that date too. I can't. I'm not very good at this dating thing, it seems. But the thing is that you have a choice with Naoto of telling her basically that she needs to talk more like a girl and act more like a girl. And that's kind of like a really sore spot for me because I actually had an ex-boyfriend who at one point or another said that I wore the pants in the relationship and that I needed to wear skirts and dresses and act more like a girl and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then like when I started deciding to work out and things, then he was just like, I don't like girls with muscles. And like he felt he had like an inferiority complex or something, I guess, because like he just felt threatened by me just being me. Mm-hmm. And so, like the fact that the worst part is that if you tell Naoto that she needs to act like a girl and dress like a girl, she starts doing it. And it's terrible. It's terrible. I never did. By the way, just for the record, surprise, I never did.
Yeah, that's a bad moral.
So yeah, it's terrible, and it's gross, and it feels gross, and it's horrible. It's nasty and controlling and terrible gender stuff. So like, there's another strike against what this game is doing wrong to Naoto. Like, I'm very upset about it. So anyway, like that's a no-go. But then I had a ski trip, and that was mildly entertaining. Mm-hmm. Because like after the boss, of course there's a ski trip and other nonsensical. And now I'm apparently going to try to rescue the chick that was added to Persona 4 Golden, who was not in the original, that I don't like anyway. I'm supposed to go rescue her now.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever considered just doing the Batman? I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to rescue you.
Saying that makes me think suddenly, maybe the original game had some sort of pacing to it, and maybe because that character didn't exist, the game ends. But then again, no, it can't, because like it couldn't have ended with that, because the whole point is that you are spending a year in this town, a school year living in this town, doing whatever. So no, that can't be it either. Damn it. I was trying to like give this game maybe some credit here and like
benefit of the doubt.
So what is the deal? Like my sole exposure to this is like the images you've been posting to Slack. Like, what is the deal that apparently this game starts out as like Yu-Gi-Oh monsters and now has become like Viva Pinata?
Yeah, the personas, they are reborn with their sincere, emotions of the people who have them, and then they get reborn all over again. So they get reborn, mm-hmm. And so they change up multiple times. And again, that kind of like, you spend most of the entire game with them in their normal, or like their original form, and then they're reborn, and then like a week later they're reborn again. It's like, okay.
And are they
short-lived?
Is this just kind of you screenshotting the ridiculous ones, or do they truly get more ridiculous like as they go?
It's my opinion they all look fucking ridiculous as they keep going, so
I don't know.
No, I'm just screenshotting.
I don't know. Thor had some snappy fashion sense.
Well, Thor doesn't evolve into anything. He doesn't poke evolve, so or Age evolve, whatever. So
yeah.
So yeah, but like at this point in the game, it's weird. I don't even know how to describe it because, like, I'm not frustrated and I'm not mad.
You're just fatigued. Like, you just want, like, you want a conclusion so you can move on to something else.
Yeah, I just want to see the end of the game, and that's really about it. Like, I'm not mad at it. Yeah. I'm not frustrated. It's just it's all on wheels right now. There isn't much autonomy, and even if I did have autonomy, I've maxed out all of my personal skills, all of the relationships for all the social links that matter, and like, there's not a lot of other stuff that's interesting anymore about the game other than just the forward driving of the plot, which is why it's all on rails. So I want to finish this ride so I can move on and be like, I finished an exhaustive JRPG. I have not done that in literally fucking years. So, like, this is, as much as I complained about Final Fantasy Tactics, I had a lot of complaints about that game, but man,
you need to line up and like just knock down a couple of shorties, like pick like sub 10-hour games.
Dude, remember the days when I would come up and I'd be like, I finished 5 2-hour games. I've got a lot to say now. And they would be all real cool, interesting little 2-hour games, but I'd do like 5 of them, I'd always have like all these different things. I am sick of talking about it. I want it to be over with. Damn it.
Do you have anything else about it for today?
No. I just want the listeners to know that I am hoping to finish it and have it just be a footnote next time, and then have something else to say about a different game, so I can say I finished the thing, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Pray for me. All right.
Ben, round us out.
All right. I don't have much. So I've played Rocket League. I've played Magic. But the thing that I want to talk about is I also streamed this weekend with one of my coworkers. Nice. We played through The Witness for its 2-year anniversary. The 2-year anniversary was on Friday, and so we played from about like my time 9 p.m. to like 4 a.m. and I think we're gonna keep doing this for a couple different weeks in a row and just try and talk about the entire game. But it was a lot of fun. It was the first time doing like a longer stream like that. I have a newfound respect for everybody on Duckstream for going overnight. Yeah. But it was really cool. Maybe I'll post some links or something so that people can see it, or if you guys want to see it,
do that. I'm sure it's up on video on demand, right?
I can't watch. Yeah, I can't watch it yet because you gave me the game and it's in my list, and I seriously was like, oh, I want to play that game, but I want to finish Persona 4 Golden because that's been, unfinished on my Vita for a while, and then it's never ended, so I haven't had a chance to get over to play the game, but it's there and I want to play it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I think we throw out at the beginning, like, if you have any intention of playing the game, then you should do that before you watch the video, just because.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's awesome. So were your friends over, like, were you all in the same room streaming from the same like set, or were you doing it? Okay.
Yeah, it was me and one of my coworkers, one of our friends.
Were you taking turns, or were you just helping each other with the puzzles and one person was controlling or something?
So he hasn't played the game in 2 years. Like, he played it when it first came out and beat it, but he hasn't played it since then. So he did this somewhat intentionally to try and forget like the solutions to the puzzles, so they could kind of come in fresh. I have kind of played it continuously for the last 2 years, so I'll like pick it up and play it or whatever. So it was more he was playing it and I was trying to do commentary on top of it. But then, like, I would also, like, if there's something that I wanted to mention about like an area, then we would like talk about it, or if there's like a puzzle I wanted to like emphasize or talk about, then we would look at that. So it was more like he was doing the actual puzzles and I was kind of like, it's like pair programming. Yeah.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah. Cool. And it was a lot of fun, but it's also like you get really sleepy at 3 a.m. when you're looking at puzzles. Yeah, whatever. So the trick for that, if you continue doing it, you get really loopy. Like the wall for me is whenever I hit the time when I would have woken up anyway. So like on Duckstream, when I get to 7:30 a.m., it's like, oh my God, the sun is coming up, and also this is when I would normally be waking up. And neither my body nor my mind know what to do with this right this moment, besides just make my stomach really upset.
Oh, see, I'm the complete opposite. I I cannot stay up late at all. Like, I become completely non-functional. But I can, like, go to bed for, like, an hour or 2 hours and get up and be like I had a full night's sleep.
Yeah, you're lucky.
I don't know.
Says,
I actually feel like the problem is that the entire world is oriented the other way.
My trick was I drank a lot of coffee at 9 p.m. and that kept me going for a little bit.
Yeah.
Then I got really sleepy and then I switched to beer and then that re-woke me up.
Oh yeah.
And for the first beer or two, and then I got sleepy again. Then I went to sleep. So.
Oh, see, I feel like once I have a beer, it's like I might as well go to sleep.
That gives me power.
Like I agree. Post first beer, you start to get sleepy, but when you start drinking the beer, like for some reason that's like I don't know, that wakes me up.
You're getting a rush of sugar. Like
that's probably it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you just get a Chemex, fill it with coffee grounds. But the secret is you don't use hot water like a chump. You use Red Bull.
Whoa, that sounds so fucking vile.
Yeah.
I can't be in the same room if somebody's opened a Red Bull.
But won't sleep for days and days.
Well, that's cool that you've done this. So, how much progress did you make? Like, how many more weekends do you think you have in you?
To like complete the game, I would say we probably need to do like maybe 4 sessions, maybe or something like that. I would guess. We made decent progress. I think we got like 5 or 6 of the lasers, which is like half of the whatever. I don't want to talk too much about specifics. We got like a decent percentage that way. There's some other things to do though, and there's plenty to do that. You could just walk around the world and like talk about a bunch of the stuff. So there's. Sorry, I'm trying to speak very vaguely, not to spoil it for you, Jala. What were you gonna say?
I have a question. So here's my thought. Why are you streaming from during this time window that doesn't make any sense for you? Like why?
This is when he typically streams. So my coworker has a Twitch stream. So he has like dedicated followers. He usually does like 90s point and click adventures type things.
Okay.
I convinced him to play this game like 2 years ago, and so that's what prompted him to play that. And so, yeah.
Okay, I was just wondering because you're like talking about your struggles, and I'm like, why the fuck are you playing at that hour then? Like,
just stream earlier, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice. Which Twitch account are you streaming from?
It's his Twitch account. It's called Shady Paradox.
Okay.
And yeah.
Cool.
I'll throw some links up.
Neat. Anything else?
That's about it. Outside of normal, typical, weird stuff fair. I do have a new game. Haven't played it yet. I'll talk about that next week, though. So.
What is it?
It's Subnautica, which just came out last week.
Oh.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's a cool preview. Yeah, so do you all want to button it up?
Yes.
Buttons.
The credits.
Wow.
That was especially musical, Jala.
Well, why should it be?
No, it was just it's different than the way you usually do. There was like a little bit more of a flourish on it.
Are you trying to outlaw music, Cole?
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to get like a Footloose kind of situation going on. That way the music is sweeter.
Well, we didn't have a show last week.
True. Yeah. So you saved it up.
Yeah, it's extra special.
Thank you everybody for listening to this. Level number 228. God, so many levels. We appreciate it. If you want to help out the network, you can go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. And otherwise, tell your friends about the show or leave us a rating or review on iTunes. Ben, do you want to say the Twitch account that you were doing those streams from again, just so in case people missed it the first time?
Yeah, it is Shady Paradox.
And if you want to watch my streams, go to twitch.tv/DuckFeedTV or youtube.com/DuckFeedTV. Those are happening every weekend and may start happening during the week more now too. Yeah, it's all good stuff. Am I forgetting anything, everybody?
No.
Okay. So I'm Cole Ross at Cole Ross on Twitter.
I'm David Moneysmith on the internet.
I'm Jala-chan in places.
I'm Ben Merkel at Merkleby.
Twitch. On Twitch. And stick around for some titles. Okay, so I only have 2. The first is 3P, but I forget what it is. It's like a plastic peripheral.
I have it.
Okay.
Yeah. I did not put it as 3P. I put it as plastic peripheral problem.
Okay. And then I also have Turdley. Not to make I just you said it clearly enough. However, it was just my dumb mind made it sound like Turdley in my head.
Sure. So I actually have a number.
I do. I have several as well.
Okay.
Do you want to go first?
Go for it.
All right. I had high fidelity LARP, the mouth, inflicting knowledge violence, Nightcrawler Banff, and why won't it stop?
Okay. Jala?
I had piano jazz, plastic peripheral problem.
Okay.
R.I.P. this. The audio version of Picturing Them Naked. But what games did you play? That was in reference to your joke about drugs, Kole.
Okay.
And then normal, typical, weird, because Ben's like, I was just playing my normal, typical, weird stuff.
I like normal, typical, weird. Ben, how about you?
I got he's finally grown into his face.
Oh, that's very good.
I got they meat boyed him. I got 8-bit feels, but it's not the feels you're thinking of. And I got reborn.
But it's not the feels you're thinking of?
That I just added that. That's not
okay.
That is not canonical title.
All right.
Just 8-bit feels.
Reborn. Okay. So the 3P got the most votes. However, the 2 that I like the most are he grew into his face. He's finally grown into his face. And I also like normal, typical, weird. If I was picking from the list of these, does anybody have any seconds on those or ones they want to raise up?
I'll say that normal, typical, weird is a normal, typical title for us, so it's pretty. It just kind of follows the usual rhythm of what we end up with.
Yes.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, it could be a bad thing.
It's a normal thing.
Yeah.
It's a normal thing.
Typical, weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any seconds or anybody who wants to put something above he's finally grown into his face?
Nope.
Okay.
I liked the finality of that no. That was great. I will when I have the mouth this weekend, I will post pictures of the mouth in the places so people can find them at Jala-chan.
Do it. Do a before and after.
Well, I posted pictures of when I first met him, and he was just a mouth.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, like, there's a legacy.
Just a little Pac-Man.
Yeah.
So, did I tell you, Jala? I think Monster Hunter World has your spirit animal.
A bird?
No, it's got the the chef that like cooks your food is referred to as like the Meowscular chef. It's just this like muscly badass cat that comments about how the giant like mountain-sized dragons you're fighting are too slow because they always skip leg day.
That reminds me of the meme I made about baby flamingo doesn't skip leg day. Have you ever seen a baby flamingo? They've got like buff freaking legs. They're scary.
I read a thing. Apparently, like flamingos, there's something like very specific with like the actual physical shape of their legs, and they can stand on one leg even when they're dead.
That makes sense.
Suppose so. It surprised me.
Yeah,
I can see this baby flamingo now.
Yeah, it is a buff leg. It's like they're born with all of their leg biomass they're ever going to have, and then it just stretches out.
Really?
That's just what it looks like to me.
Is this truth violence or fact violence that you're dealing with?
Yeah, I have to say, inflicting truth violence is also pretty cool, but,
All right, well, I think I'm going to go.
Wait, this one has slippers.
I can't say.
Okay, good night. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Run away.
Take care. Have a good week. Bye.
See y'all.
You too. Night, night.